Welcome aboard Starbase 80, you scruffy nerf herder. Oh my goodness, it's your old Cap John here, welcoming you back to the show. Always great to have you with us here on Starbase 80, but even greatest of all, I'd say, to have here on Starbase 80 is my co-host, the best damn XO in the fleet, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, Flobo Boy.
What, me? The best? I mean that means I should get a raise, right, Captain? Right? No, I'm just kidding. Thanks for having me back here on Starbase 80. I love my $1 a week penance.
I gotta ask you. I didn't ask you in real time before we began doing this.
I am single. I know. So tell all your lady friends. No, I'm kidding. What was the question?
That's good to know. That's good to know, man. Because it's funny. Everybody's been a buzz, if you will, about what's going on with Mr. Boyce. How was your trip this week?
Oh yeah, went to Anchorage for the first and the last. No, it was a good time, man. Anchorage is definitely a city you can't land and go, I'm going to check out the city out, because you could basically see the entire city. It's a city hall and gift shops. That's what it is. But if you're into the active stuff like snowboarding or hiking or hunting, you can plan beforehand to have the best experience. I was there for 2 days for the Before You Die Comedy Festival. A lot of fun. I missed Alaska Pro Wrestling's big event by a day, unfortunately, and the Northern Lights by a day. But Heath Slater and Fandango were in my hotel, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, a lot of fun. Yeah,
you didn't get to meet them, did you?
I saw them from afar. I don't be like, oh my gosh, Fandango here in Anchorage. I don't want to do that because I didn't know if he was like about it or like, yeah, I'm in Anchorage. Like I couldn't tell by his face. But so Joshua Postel, you ain't the only active comedian anymore, sucker.
Joshua Postel coming by being very obnoxious, and I could tell you exactly why.
Why is that?
I did not wish him a happy birthday.
He'll get over it. No, why didn't you, Captain?
Honestly, I was running. Oh man, I just running to stand still for the last 10 days. Just absolutely miserable opening this new play at a great theater, the Santa Paula Theater Center. I love working with them. Please hire me again. But oh my God, what just pushing a boat up a mountain. What a Fitzcarraldo, Tantallian, Sisyphusian, oh my God. Yeah, a lot of work this week. So as tortured as my language is right now, that's how much my brain has been. We had a bad preview night on Thursday. We had an amazing opening night on Friday. We had a pretty good night last night, and in 3.5 hours, I have to go do the matinee for Sunday.
Yeah,
and that's
when you say bad preview night, do people walk out and like, oh my God, this is the worst preview I've ever seen, or is it just kind of?
Okay, let me put it this way: the show runs about 90 minutes.
Okay.
I forgot enough lines that the show lasted about 75 minutes. I dropped like 15 minutes from the show just by forgetting lines.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You said it out loud. It's in the ether. It's gone, baby. Right now, it's all about you. Hey.
Okay, let's take a look at some of our friends out here. Keith Jacobson is with us. He says, howdy, I'm ready. I have tea. It's hot, but not Earl Grey.
Are you daft, mate?
Man, you gotta dance to your own tune, Keith. No problems there. Josh Postel talking about being an active comedian. He's saying we got heckled. Josh wasn't out there with you, was he?
No.
Yeah.
You think Josh would go out to someplace colder than New York? He's miserable enough as it is.
Hey, we've seen his mustache, and Josh, please take this the right way, but I think you might blend in with the walruses up there.
Yeah.
That big old mustache of yours.
What's this?
Retro Tiburon is with us. What up, John? So is this show you're reviewing a modern show or old school Star Trek? We jump around. we jump around. This is actually a buddy of mine who streams. He's on Twitch. If you ever want to check out Retro Tiburon, he does the old school wrestling games, Flobo.
Oh, you know what's kind of random? You know how something's like live in your head and say there? I know what Tiburon means because there was a commercial for the Hyundai Tiburon because it means shark in Spanish, where the car was like going under the water. So I was like, Retro Tiburon, is it a car channel? But no, it's wrestling.
Right. So he's essentially Retro Shark. It's a good gimmick. It's a good gimmick, brother. I actually know his name, but I don't want to say it. I'm just gonna say
kayfabe, brother.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And here is Joshua making walrus noises.
I guess normal Sunday for him.
And Craig Lubin wishing us a happy Potemfar, which
thanks, Craig.
We'll come up to answer your question, actually, Retro Shark, Retro Tiburon. We jump around through old Star Trek, mostly as I like to think of this. Do you remember the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill?
Do I remember one of the greatest albums of all time? I think so. Have you heard of this thing called Pink Floyd? They're a band.
I like to think of this show as the Miseducation of Flobo Boys.
Okay, the same picture.
Where that thing. I like to think of this as Flobo is a newer fan to Star Trek. Correct me if I'm wrong, Flobo, but one of your favorite Star Treks is Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, it's top for me. A fan for about 3 years and 4 months, I guess.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, we're very excited, Flobo and I, about Strange New Worlds. We will be reviewing Strange New Worlds as it debuts in just a few weeks.
I'm out of town. I'm gonna make that work. I'm gonna try to find a way to do that show live because I'm out of town that week.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! We'll figure something out.
Yep.
Something out because basically Flobo's got his show on Thursdays and Commander's Log, and we had been doing Discovery. We will be doing Strange New Worlds on that show. I am his co-host on that show. And on this one, I basically like to take Flobo because I've watched all the Treks and I love Star Trek. And I've basically been taking Flobo through the Treks to kind of pick up things or here or there that I think he will enjoy. And I like to try them on him, see, get his fresh response because he is a true Star Trek fan as well. And I want to know what Flobo thinks.
Oh man, this is a bad idea.
So Craig is joining us. Craig Robinson, evening guys, slight detour, but interested to hear Flobo's pun of the day.
Oh, yeah. For those of you know how much I hate puns, one of my friends got me a pun count. Hold on. Got me a pun count.
Craig Robinson is a true fan of this show. God bless you, Craig.
It goes, what does a thesaurus eat for breakfast? Synonym toast crunch. Awful. I know.
That's awful. Okay, my wife got me a dad joke calendar. And for the month of April, the dad joke is, I phoned the ladder company, but no one answer. Sorry, blew it. I phoned the ladder company, but no answer, just rung and rung.
Ugh.
What
Dad?
What the hell?
Yeah.
This is a good question, and we got 7 people watching. That's fantastic.
They're waiting for the review. We're like, screw it. So anyway, our crowd says.
Retro Tiburon asks, is it possible to be a Star Trek and Star Wars fan?
Never. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think about that?
Absolutely. And you could be a fan of Cruising USA and Forza Motorsport. You could be a fan of football and soccer. It's all
right.
Good. Right. I personally would say that you tend to like one slightly more, but there's enough sci-fi to go around.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's true. I actually like them in different ways. I think a lot of fans do. Leo Janicek jumps in and says, I'm a fan of both, as does Keith Jacobson. I believe, Craig, you are a fan of both as well. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, Craig.
He's laughing at the pun.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he is laughing at the pun. Let's get to it. We do want to kind of get through this so that the old man here can go do his theater gig.
You're like
and it's
O'Brien with his
fun.
wife. I got my hot wife Keiko. I have the show that I'm opening. Particles.
Even Joshua Postel agrees you can be a fan of both. And Josh is, I say even Josh because Josh, he can be a little contrarian sometimes.
Oh yeah.
We love it that it makes for good ratings,
Do we?
honestly. Yeah, it does. Controversy equals cash. Eric Bischoff. That's a
True.
whole
True. I tried that
hardcover
book.
book.
Yeah.
We are talking about the Star Trek, specifically Deep Space Nine. Craig Lubin says I go both ways, Trek and Wars. Uh-oh, that's going to trip off Joshua Postel.
Not here, the kink shame.
Deep Space Nine, before Flobo had to go on assignment, which is a lovely thing. That you're out there and you're getting some work, and people want to see you, and they're sending you money, and they're saying, "Come visit us." It's a beautiful thing. We were looking at what is called the unofficially called the Emissary Arc from Deep Space Nine. It is I love Deep Space Nine. There are so many deep, not trying to make a pun here or play on words, so many deep storylines to this show. And one of them is basically that our hero, Commander, later Captain Sisko, arrives at Deep Space Nine, which used to be an enemy space station orbiting the planet of Bajor. And he is immediately approached and contacted by these aliens that are inside a wormhole. The Bajorans consider them gods. They are celestial beings. And they consider the wormhole not a shortcut between our quadrant, the Alpha Quadrant, and the Gamma Quadrant. They don't consider it a shortcut. They consider it a celestial temple. So right from the very beginning, religion is an important part of the storyline in Deep Space Nine. Very interesting. Also interesting because Sisko communes with the prophets, as the Bajorans know them. He is considered the emissary. There were prophecies that he was coming. And so a starship captain, as a religious figure,
And a human being.
any human being, having a relationship with gods is a huge storyline. You gotta talk about it. You have to explore it. And Deep Space Nine went against all advice. Allegedly, fan response and ratings were down every time they concentrated on the emissary role of our hero, our main character here. And yet Deep Space Nine stuck with it and told the story. And it is a long-standing story to this series, from the first to the very last episode. And I have to ask you, Flobo, I'll ask you yet again. I'm asking you this question, although you have watched this third episode. How are you feeling about the emissary story as it relates to Captain Sisko?
Now understanding this emissary storyline, I understand the reactions of Star Trek afterwards, right? So you're on Deep Space Nine, and I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago that it's my least favorite intro, right? Because it seems very kind of like thunk, very slow, very Little House on the Prairie, and it kind of makes sense why Enterprise tends to overcompensate that. Go, you want to explore? Put explore right back in this, and then go out there in another direction. It's great. I think it gets bogged down by a lot of shows that have 23 episodes a season, where beats are repeated, or someone has discussions where they just worry about the same thing last week. I watched The Flash. The Flash is that every time. But for what it is, again, saying a human being being seen as high regard by an alien race entirely, usually where human beings are the villain or the combatant, alone is pretty cool, because as human beings, we tend to be the most impressionable with our own religions. And to say that we are the gods or we are the prophet to another one is pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's very interesting as to how this show is shaped as well. Captain Sisko is a single dad. His son Jake is an incidental character in many episodes, but as the series goes on, he goes through his own storylines, his own there's not a lot of it, but I was really struck in this episode by how important he was, and really what a great actor Bajor-Lovin was, especially in this episode. Just did a
Mhm.
lot of heavy moving and heavy lifting and moving the plot forward, and it was, man, he broke my heart. He
Aw.
One of the things I remember is that uh, I remember an interview years and years ago where uh, Avery Brooks, who plays Captain Sisko, was talking about his relationship with Bajor-Lovin, who plays Jake Sisko, and he said, "I love him. I absolutely love him. I love him like my son. On this show, he is my son. I want to be a good father to him." And I just love that because I feel like it shows. I feel like there's a lot of like real palpable love in this show. And Cassidy Yates, uh
Oh, Cassidy. Hey, girl. Hey.
Penny Johnson plays Cassidy Yates. I'm not an idiot, right? She is really pretty and really good.
I mean, she's cute, yeah, but the fact she hangs out with whacked out Cisco and sticks around is makes her a keeper. She didn't leave, baby. I would have been like, yo, I'm out. I don't got to deal with this. I just came out of prison. You know what I mean? Like, but she hangs out with them. So, of course.
Oh, and that's another thing. A lot is going on outside of this episode. And one of the things was the Cassidy Yates was helping the Maquis. The Maquis was a resistance group that the Dominion War is weighing on everyone. It is going to happen. Definitely going to happen. The Dominion is coming through the wormhole from the Gamma Quadrant, and they are going to attack the Alpha Quadrant. Everybody at this point knows this. We are at a Cold War, kind of a stalemate at this point in the storyline. It also shapes the story quite a bit, but we'll get to that as we get through the story, and we're going to do that very quickly.
Yeah.
First scene, there is a painting, sort of 3D painting. It's a religious icon from Bajor. It has been returned by the Cardassians. Why did the Cardassians return it? The former occupying terrible Cardassians who crushed Bajor under their heel for decades. They want to be part of the Federation. So does Bajor. Kind of.
Sort of.
Sort of. Bajor wants to be independent. Bajor had been occupied by Cardassia, so there was a lot of tension for a long time about whether or not they wanted to be part of the Federation. Several people of Bajor said yes. Many, many more said, "Look, we just had an occupying force here. We don't want this." How about that for storytelling? You ever see that plot on TV before?
On TV, no. But one of the cool things about being a fan of the Green Lantern Corps is that because they patrol space, there are planets that like look to them to be their defense force, and there's other planets that look at them as like how we used to look at the NYPD growing up as kids, like an occupying force. And so that was kind of cool because that's the thing that you kind of bad sci-fi, at least for me, is when everything's uniform, everything's too clean, everyone dresses the same, silver pajamas, everyone feels the same. There's
Space
only
1999.
Oh yeah, exactly. There's only one race on a
I
planet.
hate
Like
Space 1999. Yeah.
that's why I don't like all the Talos 4 episodes. He goes, there ain't nobody there in a rock band. Are you kidding me? Like everyone just hanging out with their huge ass braids doing nothing all day. But to have difference of opinion was pretty cool to see. You know, like I don't want you there. I want you there. It's kind of a cool balance.
It's interesting because the show is, of course, from the 90s, and there were a lot of political storylines going on in reality at that time. One of them was religion and how it does not interact very well with politics and policy. and they told a lot of stories. So another story that is sort of outside of this episode but influences it is the Kais. There are sort of bishops and popes and there is sort of these high-ranking religious figures from Bajor, and remember their religion is based around the aliens that live in the wormhole. And so a lot of times they are interpreting. They're interpreting what the prophets want. They're interpreting what the prophecies mean. And as we've seen in the Emissary Arc, those prophecies are easy to understand in retrospect. After the stuff happens, you can look back and go, oh, now I see. But as it's happening, there's a lot of inaccuracy.
Right.
Not unrealistic.
Yeah, I'm not to say that religion's fallible, y'all, but I mean, it is historic at the very least. And there's always interpretations and transliterations, and things can change and meanings can change. Just for an example, this Friday, for most Christians, is Good Friday, and the word good has changed. And that's just one word. It could imagine text, stories, myths, legends, all that stuff.
Absolutely. It's so funny. We're doing this show right now on Palm Sunday. I don't know how my mom would feel about this if she was still with us.
She's probably mad. She'll be like, yo, man, time for a nice sit-down dinner and talk about the Bible. That's
I'm sure where my mom is, she was far too busy in heaven because she was a minister, and if anybody was going to get the fast lane, she was.
Of course.
The religious icon is of a lost city, Bahala, on Bajor. For many, many centuries. I think they're telling us like 20,000 years. It's been lost. They have no idea where it is. And Captain Sisko, being the clever man he is, he scans the painting. He takes it to a hollow suite. He looks at it. He flips it around. He does that, show me this picture and magnify. Just...
It felt so CSI, man. I wanted the Who in the soundtrack. Who are you? And hands.
Remember the 90s? The 90s and just the early 2000s when it was like, oh, you've got a blurry picture? Don't worry, I can press 3 buttons and it'll be now clear. You can see everything.
Just hack with the keyboard. I'm in. What?
He's up till 3 a.m. doing his hobby, trying to figure out where Bahala is, and he goes to save. He goes to hit save, and the instrument panel explodes in one of my least favorite Star Trek moments, which is the electrical explosion, which then turns somebody into something else.
Yeah, but as you think about it, it's kind of like for brand, right? Like it's on brand. Very freakazoid. Whoa!
One of the first episodes of Star Trek in the original series is, Gary Mitchell. Is that his name? The guy who gets those, godlike powers from an exploding comm in front of him. So now Captain Sisko, he's fine-ish. He seems to be having this weird focus and concentration on Bahala now. And he's seeing things, and he's just sitting there and staring, and he's getting visions. Mm-hmm. He's becoming a bit of an oracle. Meanwhile, he gets the good news that Bajor has finally been accepted to the Federation. Not Cardassia yet, but Bajor. And this was one of his, he had 2 jobs. You had 2 jobs. One was official, and the first one was get Bajor into the Federation. And I believe Captain Picard himself says, do everything short of breaking the Prime Directive. So, and that goes all there are a lot of callbacks to the very first episode of Deep Space Nine, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
And so it's happening. Hooray! They're finally being invited into the Federation. And because Captain Sisko is the emissary, he's done all this work, and everybody gives him the credit, and this is all gonna be great. Oh man, Craig Lubin brings up a great
Fade to black since week.
Craig Lubin says the 23rd and 24th century need circuit breakers.
Well, O'Brien has one job, and him and his wife.
They're working on the deflector array. We actually find out why things are so shabby in that hollow suite. It's
So,
that
just to jump in there, just to pile on how much I hate O'Brien. I don't really hate him. How much I hate O'Brien. I was actually watching this episode. I was like, wait, why is Kira pregnant? O'Brien, everything has to be this guy's fault. Are you kidding me?
I forgot to mention that yet another storyline from outside of this episode that appears in is I have it listed as baby bump Kira.
Oh, that's kind of cute. Okay, it back.
Kira, who is Bajoran, of course, she is carrying the O'Brien's baby as a surrogate mother. You know, in reality, why she was pregnant.
Because Nana Visitor is hot. No, I don't know. Why was she?
Because Alex Siddig, who plays Dr. Bashir, and she were
Oh, because she was hot. That's what I said.
Yeah. So those two cuties had a little cutie themselves, and they wrote it into the show as Kira, who is single, who was dating a bishop for a while, dating a Vedic, I think. There was no explanation why she would be pregnant. So they're like, because the O'Briens needed a surrogate mom to carry their baby.
Speaking of Christian imagery, very Christmas-like.
Anyway, she's so cute. She is so cute. We are now at a point where the storyline's been going one way, and now Captain Sisko starts going off. He is just way into finding Bahala. He finds Bahala with Cassidy, and then that satisfies a prophecy, which makes him even more of the emissary than he's ever been, and that brings in Kai Wynn. Kai Wynn, who is a big leader of the Bajoran religion, has never liked Sisko, and I'm kind of like, did you see any episodes, Flobo, with Kai Wynn in them previous to this?
I think here and there, nothing very up in the A story. So the character looked familiar, and I can pretty much infer the relationship, but I can't think of that one episode. Like this or that.
Yeah. In the previous episode, we saw a session. Kai Opaka, the one of the Kais that came before Wynn, appears to him and talks to him. So you have seen a Kai. You have seen basically their pope. Kai Wynn is one of those rare creatures in Star Trek period where you can see these very earthly things that she's doing. So one of the things that she did was become head of the religion, and then later she becomes head of the government.
Right.
And so this religion and government intermixing, which of course we Americans, separation of church and state.
In theory. It's like the prime directive. We say that, but we mix them up all the time. We should get better at that.
Snap!
I'm just saying.
Kai Wynn, as Leo Genesek points out, is one of the most hated Star Trek villains. Absolutely.
In a good way or a bad way?
I would say in a very good way. I mean, it's up to the chat what they think, but I say it's a very good way. Louise Fletcher, who played Nurse Ratched in the iconic movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest,
Chief,
is a team chief. # team chief. She is fantastic. Okay, this is a wrestling thing, Flobo, for me.
Okay.
Whenever I hear Star Trek fans, and they do it all the time, like, oh, I hate her, she shouldn't be on the show, she's the worst, oh, I hate that actress, oh, every time she's on the screen I want to stop watching Star Trek forever. And being a wrestling fan, I'm like, oh, she must be terrible at her job.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure how it works for fiction, but wrestling fans only accept a heel if they go, or a bad person, and go, wow, I could tell they're being a bad person, but he sure is cool, which is fine. But a heel's job is to get booed. Like, that's literally what Happy Corbin is doing.
what people always know heels to be in wrestling is like your when Undertaker was a heel, when Stone Cold was a heel, when The Rock was a heel. And they're like, well, that was a heel. Yeah, but that wasn't really, because they were super popular and they were selling a ton of t-shirts and you tuned in just to watch them.
Yeah.
Those are more like what we call tweeners.
Correct.
The people you hate, the people that make you want to turn off the damn TV, those are heels.
Right.
Those are true heels. And there's a very funny story very quickly about Hulk Hogan. He was a bad guy for quite a while in wrestling, and people were booing him, and it really hurt his feelings. Oh, I'm a bad guy. I do bad things, but they're booing me. And so he became a good guy again because he couldn't stand being treated like a bad guy. Hulk Hogan.
Ugh.
I'm very fragile, brother. Let me tell you something. I cry when little kids don't like me, brother. So back to Deep Space Nine. We have a point where it becomes clear that Captain Sisko is shirking his duties, and they're very happy duties, to just set up these ceremonies and bring in all these people that are coming, these dignitaries that are coming for the big let's welcome Bajor to the Federation celebration.
Yeah.
And we get the Doctor's perspective at one point where he says, look, this whole accident that made you into an oracle, it's tripping your brain. We actually had this before in the previous episode, a session where he was having orb experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Now, instead, he is having, I didn't write it down. Craig Lubin, you know this phrase. Oh, there we go. Pa-tem-far.
Pa-tem-far, a sacred vision.
So he's got these sacred visions going on, and he seems very remote. He seems not quite real. There's a great scene with Sisko saying, "Hey, Cassidy Yates is coming back. Aren't you going to celebrate?" And magical Sisko's just like, "Huh? What? I'm sorry. What?"
Yeah. Don't tell me twice. I mean, she looks gorgeous today. I'm looking at this tab right now. Penny Johnson, oh, goodness me.
Penny Johnson can get it. She can get it. Penny Johnson, of course, currently on the Orville playing the Doctor. So actually, she's on a kind of Star Trek show, a Star Trek-ish show. I can't remember. Maybe somebody in the chat can remember if Renee Echevarria, does he work on Orville? I know some of the former Star Trek guys are working on that show with Seth MacFarlane. But Renee was responsible chiefly in Deep Space Nine for the Emissary storylines, which, again, as I said earlier, they were told many times, these are not popular. You probably shouldn't do these. They kept going with it because they felt it was a strong story. One of my personal heroes in Star Trek, Ronald Moore, is he loves this episode and just says, this is probably some of the best TV that's ever done about this kind of subject. Let me ask you, Mr. Boyce.
That's me, y'all.
When we are looking at the real conflict that starts tumbling downhill now, which is the question of should Dr. Bashir says, look, I can cure you of these visions.
Yeah.
Because they're starting to make him a little cray.
The dramatic pause. Cray.
Well, it's one of those moments where I go, should I say this? Should I say cray?
I mean, after you say Penny Johnson can get it, this show's pretty much off the rails. So yes, cray.
Cray squared. There's that great moment where he's on the promenade and he's like, I hate to say, I'll just say it like this. He's very Messiah-like.
Right.
where he stops by to this lovely couple and he says, your federata beans are going to have a great harvest this year. And then
Yeah.
the admiral, who's been like, hey, you've been shirking your duties. He goes up to the admiral and he's like, your son forgives you.
Yeah.
And he walks away. So was this too much? Is this too Messiah? Is this too the chosen one?
So I'm gonna say yes and no. I don't think it was so much in that scene, but if my captain was doing that, that would have been a ticket to a holiday vacation, right? So the fact he gets to do that and still keep his job to me was a bit too much. I was like, either take him out, do the whole your badge, your gun, officer, and have him go out and do this adventure on his own, or just tone it down. So I was in between.
There is a big conflict there of what to do about the captain. He actually is not showing up to the ceremony when the ceremony begins because he's refused to have the operation that will take all this fever out of his brain. And he keeps getting these visions. And one of the visions, and Kai Wynn is helping him. And his son Jake has a great moment where he says, why do you trust her? All of a sudden you trust her. Can she be trusted, do you think, just based on what you saw, Flobo?
Nah, because you got to be basically high to trust her, right? So why do that when you're sober? Hello.
He gets this big vision. He shows up at the ceremony and he says, no, we are not going to join the Federation. Bajor is not joining. And that was the only reason why he was ever there, was to make that happen. He gets a vision of locusts blocking out the sun, and it will doom Bajor if they join the Federation. That's how he is interpreting his vision. Flobo, I know you know some of the overlying storylines that happen. Do you know what happens in the Dominion War to Bajor?
No, but I assume something really bad.
I'm going to put up a couple of Craig Lubin. This is one he put up a while back. Sisko's vision of Locust heading for Cardassia correctly predicts Cardassia is joining the Dominion later in season 5 as part of the Dominion War.
Hey, copy and paste it twice. I guess he didn't get there quick enough. Sorry, Craig. We're working on it.
Craig, sometimes I got to wait for context, man.
Yeah.
Gotta wait for context.
We're professionals. Yep.
And that is such a mind-blowing thing. There's a great moment where he says to Jake, I feel like I'm seeing everything at once. I remember holding you in my hands for the first time. And I'm holding you now. And it's actually a callback to the pilot episode where he is with the prophets in the wormhole where they're communicating with him, and they show him that vision of holding little baby Jake Sisko.
That is a very deep cut, because I did see the pilot and I was like, but not now. I didn't realize their length.
It's amazing. I love it. And what I love about that is it speaks to the legitimacy of these visions. Oh, yeah, I meant to ask you about that. Do you feel like these visions are legitimate?
I do. I think by now I'm on board with Sisko being the emissary, and that's a part of it. I guess for me, it is a hard in the teleplay. It is a hard thing for me to buy into because it's like I'm seeing these visions. Let me describe to you what they are off camera because we don't have no budget. But in the scheme of the story, I am on board long enough that's earned in DS9. But if I hadn't seen DS9 before and you just show me this episode, I'd be like, well, is he cracked? Is it like Shutter Island where he's just crazy and thinks he's an emissary?
That's what I wondered.
Yeah.
I remember watching this episode when it first aired and thinking, is this all a vision that he's having from
when elsewhere, right? Is this a snow globe?
Or Wizard of Oz? Was I in your dream too, Captain Sisko?
And you were there? And you were there?
But it's all happening, and it's all happening in real time. It is a huge blow to the plot the overarching plot that Bajor will not join. But it turns out, I'm telling you, I won't give it away everything, but it turns out to be a good thing.
Mhm.
There's actually a lot to it, but it does turn out for the best. I don't know how much I would want to make you watch Jake Sisko episodes. They're not bad. I like Jake Sisko episodes. But for the people who have seen all of Deep Space Nine, I want to ask you, and of course, Flobo, I want your opinion as well. Do you see a tragedy to Jake Sisko?
So you always give me these tough questions because I feel like, as what I've seen in just Star Trek, no. But one of my favorite shows of all time, The Shield. I used to watch it with the commentary, and
Wow.
about the character of Curse Lemansky, is that if you give someone the conscience of the show, they're the first to go. So since that, I watched these shows going like, yeah, he's probably going to die somewhere. But I wouldn't have known it if like I was watching Star Trek. Does he die? I don't know. Does he die?
He does not.
Woo! Okay. But
He
yeah,
does
usually
not.
consciences are the first ones to go, where it's kind of like the guys, this is kind of high stakes. And then you get a big, like javelin to the chest. And like, oh no, somebody save me.
A pure spirit especially in the world of The Shield. Boy, what a great show that was.
Oh yeah.
So many great actors from that show went on to do even better stuff. There's a lot. Jake Sisko goes through a lot. He is, I think, an incredibly interesting character, but honestly, I have very few characters on Deep Space Nine I would say are not interesting characters. There are some, Keiko O'Brien,
Ooh.
but there are, there are so many great stories within this series. Okay.
I feel like the O'Briens could be like on a different show, and it wouldn't make the show any worse. Not saying it's an add to the show. I think that if you took them out, there wouldn't be any like, oh man, DS9 is crap now. I'm just saying, guys.
We have to live with the fact that Captain Sisko has done this, and 3 steps forward and 2 steps back with Bajor. We just have to accept that at the end of the episode. We also have to accept the fact that he mourns the loss of these prophetic powers, even though they were killing him. They were absolutely killing him. I want to ask you this, Flobo. Do you want to see more about the Emissary and these religious stories here on Starbase 80?
As long as it comes some little pew 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 on the side of it, no, I'm down. I think this is what we like about sci-fi, basically the good of man or the good of civilization. So if that's something that the show's about, I'm all about that too.
Yeah, it's there is a far-reaching storyline to the Emissary Arc. These are the 3 basic stories that we've seen as we've sort of established that yes, indeed, he is the emissary. Yes, indeed, he does accept it, and he is accepted. And would you like this power, this level of power that he has as the emissary, Flobo?
No, because no one ever gives me clear visions. It's always like, here's a nice pinwheel in the sun. This totally means give me exactly what the hell's going to happen so I can describe it. So don't put me in the brig. That's what I want.
You don't want to be perceived as cray to the cray.
Exactly.
I gotcha. So, Flobo, any questions about this episode? Because honestly, I'm pretty much done with the plot.
No, I think it pretty much hit all the marks, especially if you after the last episode with the false prophet, having an episode to cement Sisko as on top. But again, the I see visions, you're crazy, I see visions thing is a trope I've seen a bunch of times. So there wasn't super jazzed about that. But again, since we've watched enough DS9, I felt like it earned it in this sphere.
Yeah, I mean, they really raised the stakes in this one. They really made it quite dangerous. And season 5 is a tremendous season. 5-time world champion, Booker T. Sorry, My OCD, my pro wrestling OCD. There is a great moment where the staff has a conversation. Craig Lubin brings this up. He says, Worf shows that he respects his captain's faith as well as naval traditions he learned from his human father. That's super nice. I know Worf's not one of your favorite characters, Flobo.
No. Well, you know what? I think Worf is like neutral. It's more like, man, I kind of wanted more from him. It isn't like Neelix or Tuvix, right? I can't stand them. Or even Phlox, where I go, what are you doing here, bro? Worf is one of those guys that, because you have to, like, have a gatekeeper and you have to put over new talent, right? So every time someone shows up to beat up Worf, it's like, oh wow, he took out a Kardashian, he took out a Klingon. He must be badass. But if it happens weekly, it's like, come on. And then on DS, you got me started now. Then on DS9, he becomes like the third Rock from the Sun character. Like, oh, you guys call this? Well, on my planet, we do this. Women are totally fragile. You're like, we get it. Here at Klingon. But I'm not knocking any. If they're your favorite talent, if it's your favorite wrestler, if it's your favorite actor, I'm not gonna, poo-poo.
Right. No, you're really good about letting people like things they like. That's one of your great qualities. Let's take a look at, I think there was like some weird trivia about this one.
Trivia.
Nope. What do you have on your notepad, Mr. Boyce?
Yeah, okay. I have Jadzia Dax is not impressed with that Bahala at all. She's just not. She doesn't give a shish.
I believe her line is because she sees the picture of Bahala and she goes, the way you talked about it, I just thought it would be bigger.
It's like, snap. All right.
It's rough listening to a beautiful woman say those words.
But it's.
Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong.
It hurts every time.
You've never heard them, but
trust me, I have. There's other reason why I lost the weight. Okay, so whoa, Quark, tell me more about these pleasure mazes.
I have pleasure mazes with a surprise inside.
Let's go. How was Jake older, but his voice the same? That's Chris I had.
18 years old. Okay, see, you don't know what it's like to be well over 6 feet 2. Cirroc Lofton's like 6'5". Okay. At that age. Yeah, he still has that high kid voice. And he's taller than everyone on the show.
I won't say to his face. I'm just saying. Patam Far is a sacred vision. It only happens when you're on drugs or destroyed by equipment. It's a shame, really. Sisko finds a brand new city and the Admiral being pissed about it. It's tickled the hell out of me. God dang it, Sisko. It's like an episode of Sledgehammer. You found a city, Sledgehammer? Oh, like, why is he so upset?
He's the angry black boss.
Oh, why is he so mad?
I love that actor, too. I just got to look him up really quickly as the Admiral. Oh my God, he is so funny because that guy's like, what the hell is wrong with you?
It's like, damn. And lastly, I've lived long enough to see Sisko turn to John Edward. And that's what I learned this week on Starbase 80. Vision. Locust, son. Yes, Locust, son are going to connect. And your son forgives you. I don't know. I think he's making it up.
I mean, I'll tell you, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for me if Sisko's just walking through the promenade, like curing blind people,
touching people,
getting Morn to talk, like just, helping Nog grow his leg back. Whoops, I'm giving up a future episode. Sorry. Okay.
I found it sitting. Oh, who cares, Sisko? Get back to work. It's like, geez.
Okay, so you and I will, I guess, maybe talk about it off air, unless you have right now in your mind any idea of what you want to watch next week.
Nope.
On Starbase 80.
That's why I'm at your behest, Captain.
I'm going to offer you this. I'm going to offer you this idea.
He's going to offer something, y'all.
Something I came up with a long time back. And that is, there are things that are going to show up in Strange New Worlds that are already established in Star Trek canon. So we could watch Star Trek shows that will help you maybe see earlier versions of characters you're going to see in Strange New Worlds. Maybe there will be storylines we could do that if you're interested. Yeah.
I am down for everything because this is a strange new world to me. Anime lines.
Somebody screenshot this, please. Okay, we're good.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, I think that will do it for this week, and I think we're going to leave the Emissary Arc for now because we've done quite a bit of Deep Space Nine. I think we're going to start prepping for Strange New Worlds. Give you some idea of what things looked like before you see them in their new version. Their new. Well, have you seen the trailer for Strange New Worlds yet?
I have, and Picard season 3, the Picardist. I don't know.
That's what we're gonna call it.
Picard with a vengeance. I don't know.
We're gonna call it Picardist, and yeah, I do like with a vengeance. I'm gonna steal that from you. Yeah. What do you think? You looking forward to it? You must be.
Strange New Worlds, definitely. Like I said, I'm actually on assignment that week, but we got to find a way to make that work to get there to do a live episode of Commander's Log for that one because it's a big deal. I came at TOS on the back end. I saw Kelvin first, then the series. But when I said the end of season 1 of Discovery and having the Enterprise show up was a big deal. So I'm excited.
Yeah. All right, then. We got some good directions to go in here on Starbase 80. Of course, you are always invited to come back with us. And I'm going to say goodbye this week for now to you, Mr. Flobo Boyce. We will team up again on Thursday, I believe.
Yes, we will. Commander's Log is back live, going through some of the animated awesomeness of Star Trek lore. I'm not sure what episode's going to be up, but it's definitely going to be a throwback to the hand-drawn or computer-generated animation style of Star Trek.
Oh, that flat 2D animation where in half an hour of show, maybe 4 things move.
Oh, yeah.
So excited. Filmation, I hate you, but we will watch that. What's great about the animated series of Star Trek is writers from the original Star Trek were working on it. So with many producers backing this up,
yeah,
a lot of people say that the 1 season of the animated series actually counts as the 4th season of the original show.
Yep. So Commander's Log Thursday, April 14th, season 1, episode 10 of the animated series Mud's Passion.
Oh, Harry Mudd. Looking forward to that, man. Looking forward to that. Okay, folks. Hey, let me hit that music. Thank you for being with us. Flobo Boys, thank you so much, sir. Hey, where can people find you, pal?
You can find me at Flobo Boys on our social media. Don't forget, newamsterdam.com. KNEWamsterdam.com, baby.
Follow him on Patreon. You will upload videos here next week, 11 a.m. Yeah, I'm going to be doing that 11 a.m. here on the West Coast, 2 p.m. on the East Coast. And till then, LLAP, baby. Oh, bam.